welcome back to my art channel. This is Amanda, your art teacher, and it is 1:30 in the morning on December 17th. I like to paint at night because it's quiet and peaceful and I'm a night person. So what I've been working on a little bit, I started this months ago, is a watercolor and gouache painting of Virginia Beach. This is where I would spend my summers with my family, and I went there in June, for my dad's birthday, and I took a lot of photos, and I love to paint what I photograph. So I photographed this, and there's a big boardwalk, and there's people here and in the water. And I tried to print this out, but it came out much darker than I want it to be. I mean, now that my lighting is so weird, it kind of looks bright enough now. But anyway, I made a video on the elements of art. There's shape, color, texture, line, and some others. And I also made a video about how to observe and to pick apart what you're seeing so you can rearrange it into your artwork. You look at something and you break it down with your mind, and then you put it back together here however you want. You can rearrange stuff if you feel like it. So that's what I did. I broke this down into top half, bottom half, as you can see, and in my computer application, I typed in the major colors that I see. There's a grayish brown, black, what is this? Violet gray, lightly yellow, slightly yellow white, light blue gray, gray, and dark green. And I enhance my photos. I up the contrast, and I make them lighter because iPhones tend to make my photos darker, and if I click lighten once or twice, then it comes about to what I was seeing. So I did that here, and then when I paint, I sort of up the color again so that it is more vibrant and stands out more. And so the element of art of shape would be, this is a rectangle, this top part is a rectangle, we have a triangle here if you want, a triangle here, and then triangle here, but it's up to you. Whatever elements stand out to your brain, you do that. See, in this I did not do shape, I did line. So I saw a line here, 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 and you can already sort of see that I sort of have the lines mapped out in my first layer. And then the other element I chose to focus on is line. Wait, did I just say that? Sorry, I think I just said that. So I have line here for the boardwalk, and then there's lots of little ones. The horizon line is important. Here is the line where, when you look at the ocean far back, at the very back it's all horizontal, but then as you get closer and there's more waves to the shore, see, it's diagonal right here. So this line to me is sort of what separates um, the distance from the front region. And I have diagonal, diagonal, diagonal. It's like, and it starts to like here, and then it lifts up, and then it lifts up again, and then back there is where it starts to be horizontal. So I did that, and this is a major line, and it's the darkest wave. And then here we have one big continuous wave crashing, and this has white, and it'll be pretty bright highlights. And then I have the lines that are here, that separate the sand from the water and just give direction. You could highlight whatever lines stick out to you. You know, like there's a line down here. If that's the one that your brain sees, then you can do that. Or if you want to do a long line right there, or even what would that be? A diagonal line right there. Like I have these diagonal lines that just kind of give me a general shape of what I will sketch out on here. And then that'll be it. And yeah, so I am still learning about art. I don't know everything yet, and I probably never will. But that's okay. And I always just try the best I can and do the most that I think I can do, the best that I can do. So, what I've done already with what I have in my brain is I sectioned it and I got a slight base color down. Like you can see that I put gray brown, and it's like sort of gray and brown, and then light blue gray. I wrote that. And then I have my light yellow white spot. And I guess I would call this working macro to micro, working from big to small. And so I'll do the big shapes. I just try to block in as much as I can every single time I work on something. I don't really work on a small area and complete it. And in my stone carving class, I had a huge problem because my teacher wanted me to just focus on the head and get the head perfect. And I could not, in my brain, do that because I kept seeing all this other stuff that I would need to do to the body first in order to even see if that's where I would want the head to be. And yeah, I guess I'm just stuck in my ways. I guess, what works for me. Um, and I told her that's how I like to work from big to small. And she's like, oh, I bet your projects take a long time. And some do, some don't. But yeah, our brains all work differently. And sometimes my brain doesn't work at all. So it's a feat that I get anything done sometimes at all, let alone finish a work of art. So I would like to work back to front, but I want to show you something really cool. And when you're working with watercolor, it can be unforgiving. And if you want to leave an area white, you have to paint around it and keep the paint from getting on it. Because when watercolor's hard, but not impossible to remove. But this stuff is called art masking fluid. And if you paint it on, if you can open it, I don't know what I'm doing here. Always a good idea to wipe the edge of your stuff so it does not get glued shut. This is gonna go everywhere, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, see, it's all rubbery and stuck together. It's basically like liquid rubber, sort of. And this is really gross. Sorry. And it smells like how you'd imagine liquid rubber to smell. And this stuff is really cool because you can paint it on a spot that you want to leave white or lighter. And so I'm gonna put it on this area of my painting right here, the center and beyond, like a Toy Story. So right here, and just out a little bit. And then I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'll start going over the sky. And when it's dry and you're ready to remove it, you just rub your finger on it, and it comes off and leaves you with the color underneath. So you dip the brush in here. And I'm gonna be working with gouache. And gouache. I'm new to gouache. I've always, not always, but I grew up painting with watercolor. Which is water-based. And watercolor is very thin. You can apply it thickly, but gouache is opaque, meaning not translucent or transparent. And you don't have to put many layers of it. On. So in gouache, if you want an area to be white, you don't have to leave it unpainted. You don't have to paint around it. You can paint what you're going to paint, and then you can put white gouache on top, and it will, since it's opaque, it will cover up what's underneath it. So that's pretty cool. I'm just sort of playing around here, not going for an exact copy, which is what I always used to do. I would try to get my things perfect. And I would suggest that you do that when you're starting out. If you're painting from a reference, start out by trying to get it exactly how you're seeing it. And that will train your hand-eye coordination. And then once you've had enough practice doing that, you'll be able to, imagine something in your brain and draw it out. And you'll be able to draw what you're seeing in your mind because you've practiced, drawing what you see in real life. And then you can start getting as adventurous as you want. And there's always the debate, is it okay to, copy the old masters or, try to imitate them? And yes, you should. I mean, don't plagiarize their work. And, but that's how everyone learned back in the day, was from copying, Da Vinci and stuff. And there's a bit of light blue here that's behind this cloud area, so I might do a little bit just to leave it white. And it starts to dry on your brush. They make actual tools. I should not have used this brush for this stuff, but I did. They make actual masking fluid tools, but you can also use the end of your paintbrush, like if you want to do dots, like say you want to make some stars in your in a sky. See, it just sort of rubs off like an eraser almost. It was so thin that it dried instantly, and I can just rub it off like that. And speaking of copying the old masters, there's a painting by Gustav Klimt called The Kiss, and it's like just a man kissing a woman's face, and there's like flowers all around and stars. And to make the starry background, I took some of this masking fluid. I've been using this for years and years, and I kind of like sprinkled it onto my paper, and I let it dry, and then I painted over that with a sheer blue, and I let that dry, and then I sprinkled more of the masking fluid again to make more stars, and then I let that dry, and then I went over it again with a darker blue, maybe some purple, and then I let that dry. I did one more layer of masking fluid sprinkles and let that dry. I did one more coat of paint, let it all dry, and then I'll go get it, I'll show you. And then, some cloud shapes over here. Cool. So yeah, I'll show you so you can see what you can do with this masking fluid. So this is my representation of the Gustav Klimt painting, The Kiss. I just wanted a version of it to go behind my bed back in 2008. I did this, and there's actually still some masking fluid on here, I think, that I didn't rub off, or maybe I think it's just gold paint. There's some flecks and stuff, and this is watercolor. And now that I look at it, I did not use as many layers. I think I might have just done it twice. Like you can see, let's see, where's a good spot to point out? It's actually really negligible. Like here's, you can see it's like a gray right there, and then there's white. So the white is the masking fluid I put on first, and then I did a layer of paint, and then on top of that first layer, I did that. So yeah, that's stuff you can do with masking fluid. And I even wanted to make doing that same technique like a nebula or a Milky Way, and I might make a video of that. I already started a nebula painting, but it's oil paint. So while that's drying, I'm gonna add a little more masking fluid actually. This is much easier to open when it's not rubbered shut. It smells. So really fast so we can move on. To be more solid. So more right there. Okay, now I'm gonna let that dry and pontificate in the back of my mind and think what to do next. The next major thing I would think to do is to and it would not be the worst idea to take the masking fluid and to paint it on the sky so that if I get the water above it, it'll be a barrier. But I think I'll be okay. So I have a pencil, and as you can see, I already started a line here going back, but I don't think that's the line I'm going to use. So it's like I said, I see a triangle from this point down to about here. So that's what I will lightly sketch. And then that would be where the water is coming here. And then I guess there would be, see, like I said, in the back, things are horizontal. So here's horizontal, here it's horizontal, and here's where I have it going horizontal from the diagonals. So about here, where I started this line, is where it's going to start getting diagonal. So I have that point about, doesn't have to be perfect. It looks like we could start it about here, and then it's about here far down. And then that would be our darkest line. Go a little bit farther. And then here will be the top of the splishy line, and here will be the bottom of the splishy line. So I will sketch in. So if I have this point of this line, and I have the other 2 points here, and if I want to do this line first, I know that it starts here, estimated, and it comes to about over half of midway of this section. See, like, it's up here. So I will draw that lightly. Let's see, maybe if I start this way. Or maybe work from the bottom. So I have this splishy shoreline here. This line starts roughly, excuse me, I had Popeyes today, it was so good. Should not have, but it was so good, I couldn't help it. This line is what will connect to the bottom dot, which is, always sharpen your pencils before you start. Oh, it's so dry. Oh, this is why I don't like drawing. There. And that's the bottom. And then it starts to like horizontal out. So we have that line, that line. And then, oh my gosh, it's so dry. What is going on? So we have that line. In between this bottom splishy line and the top of where the waves are crashing, we have shadow in here, and then there's white part, and then that comes up to, it's, this distance here is bigger than this distance, so I know that this line will come up a little more, but it doesn't have to, so I'm not too worried about it, but I will have it connect with this dot here. And it doesn't have to be perfect because the waves are crashing, and I just made it, ooh, really imperfect. And that's a little too imperfect. So I got this beginner's drawing kit from Michael's. It was only $5, so if you see this, it's Artist Loft brand, $5. Really a good starting set for $5. And I'll probably make a little video introducing you to that. But for right now, I'm just gonna try to erase the crooked line I just drew in where I don't want there to be a line. Yes, I have had coffee. Yes, I am hyper. I'm mostly active in the night, and I'm rambling. so you get to listen to that. This is cool because it's a gummy eraser. I love gummy erasers. You can mold it, you can break pieces off of it, you can make it really fine, make a really fine point for precision erasing. You can use it to erase, you can press it onto a pencil to make your pencil lighter. It'll lift off a layer of lead without erasing it, which will streak it back and forth. And not only have I had coffee, but that was hours and hours ago. But I'm also just excited because I know a lot about all this stuff, and I'm happy to teach it to people. Because it is cool. I think once you get some of these basics too, you can be on your own, making all kinds of cool stuff. You guys are my kids. And so, some more horizontal. This awesome little kit came with a sharpener, so I'm going to sharpen my pencil and try to not get it all over the carpet. Okay. So we have drawn the beginnings of where the sand meets the shoreline. It's really light, and I'm sorry, I can make them darker since, like I said, it's gouache paint. So the paint will be thick enough to cover up the pencil lines. Okay, so then I have this dark green, the darkest green wave here. And that's this one, that's the top point that comes down here. And then we have the line where they become horizontal from here back. So this one, and they all sort of follow the same line stuff, but this so you can sort of see it. Okay. Sort of sounds like waves crashing, huh? So, and then I will do this horizontal line. And it doesn't have to go all the way across, but it can because there's people here. And it sort of actually starts. This line can start here and go all the way across. There's a highlighted point here. We're following the same line where the people are. And then it comes to a point here. And then, like I said, here's where it continues on horizontally. That's what I see. That's how my mind breaks this apart. And then these are sloped, curved lines, which I will probably accentuate for cool stuff. So This line is about here, and this is where they're horizontal. You can just follow this line and go straight, follow it straight. Oh, it's going down a little bit. And then this dark line actually follows there. And why is that important, actually? These little people, from observation, I noticed that they're almost, am I holding this straight? They're almost in the center of the picture. I think the center would be about here. So a little left of center is the people. And then I noticed from the people, it's all gonna get painted over anyway. So, but to get more reference points, I think this will be pretty cool. And you don't have to do this with pencil. If you have the aptitude to just draw with paint, then do that. Sometimes I can, but I think my brain has had a hard time of breaking this down and thinking of how I would do it, so I think this is really helping. So, and color-wise, I noticed that this very back quarter of an inch right here, see this line? From here up, it's a shade darker than this area here. So a line you could draw would be right here. Just so you know that that's going to be darker. And it looks like I've already started drawing that line, so you can just do that. And let's see, where will I put the pier? I'm not going to do the whole pier right now. That's going to be last. Like I said, macro to micro, I do the biggest areas first. And as you can see, I'm doing the biggest lines first. And I'm not going to put the people in until last because I'm going to have to paint the sand first. I'm going to have to paint the splashes first. So these little details, they'll be the last things I put on, the smallest things last for me in my mind. So if the people are slightly left of center, and this pier looks like it's about 1.5 inches from center, then roughly if I go perpendicular from this, I have about that much straight. So that's roughly where my pier will be, and I don't think it'll be that high either. I already started drawing the pier and I have the line right there. I'll show you, I have it drawn right there to go horizontally to here, and then there's lots of little black marks, so that'll be fun. Now, what are the next major lines that I see that I need to draw in that are keeping me from finishing this painting? straight back. Oh, that makes more sense to put that there, okay. The pier, what's the word for them? The little legs, the legs of the pier, they go down into the water. So we have our horizon water line, and the legs of the pier go down to about here. So right about where this water becomes dark back here is where the pier legs will go into. And I just realized I've been talking for 41 minutes and I only have 45 minutes per video, so I'm going to have to stop and save and keep recording. So thank you.